Good evening, everybody. This is just obviously a quick hobby update as to my British black powder force, and it will also be, as I'm going through painting a couple of the miniatures, a bit of a response to the IgoUgo debate. For those of you that aren't aware, there was obviously reading a couple of videos around. Storm of Steel, they've done one, and that was in a response to is IgoUgo dead? So we'll get into that a little bit when I start going through doing a bit of a painting with some of the miniatures. But just to let you know, obviously, what the situation is with my British as well. So obviously, starting over on this side, just here, these ones just over this side, over the far side. Starting at the back, we have the 14th foot line infantry, then we have the 23rd foot line infantry, 51st foot light infantry. We've got some artillery just down here as well, and then they're obviously commanded by Colonel Mitchell. And then over here, a bit closer to the camera, we have 52nd foot, 71st foot, who I may be having a bit of a go at tonight. I'm not quite sure yet, depends how much I ramble. We have the 95th 2nd Battalion, and then the 95th 2 companies of the 3rd Battalion, and they've got their commander of Major General Adam, who I will definitely actually be having a look at tonight and hopefully painting him. So yes, so obviously the 3rd Battalion are quite detailed miniatures. I can just try and get it to focus a little bit. Everything's gonna focus. They're actually quite nice, and they were actually quite nice to paint up. But again, it's just a standard putting the basic figures on, putting the basic colours on, and then just going over with the army painter, strong tone, dip, just brushing it over, and then just sort of locking the base. That is obviously the British force. So if you just give me a little swish, and then we'll be back and hopefully painting some miniatures.
Okay, so here we are with IgoUgo. Apologies for the dodgy camera work. I've been having a bit of issues with the camera and batteries and so on and bits and pieces. So IgoUgo, well, that is a question. So obviously Storm and Steel, he's put out a video discussing his thoughts on IgoUgo. My thoughts on IgoUgo. Well, is it dead? No, I don't think it is. Is it any good? That's another question altogether. So I started off playing a certain fantasy science fiction game, and it's a case of, did I enjoy it? Yes, I did when I was playing it, which was in the early 90s. So as you can imagine, it was rather complicated, but not as competitive as it is now. And it was fun. And then obviously they changed the rule sets and carried on changing the rule sets and carried on changing the rule sets, and it went from IgoUgo to I win, which, let's face it, that's not fun when you turn up to somewhere to play a game against an opponent. They get their first turn, their army's so powerful that you can't do anything. That's not fun to me. Maybe to some other people, maybe to some of you guys, but to me, not really. So there's that for a start, and then the other thing you've got is you've got gaming systems which are slightly randomised, slightly turn-based. For example, bolt action. It's random in the fact that the dice get drawn out of the bag, and Cruel Seas is the same in this aspect. It's random in the fact that the dice get drawn out of the bag, but then it's also, you get your turn, you get to do your bits, and yes, it's phases. So it's like, obviously you do your movement, then you do your shooting, than you do any close combat or anything like that. But you still get your turn, which is a lot better than the, oh, my opponent's turned up, oh, he's so powerful that I'm just not going to get anything. And then the other things, which take Black Sea, for example, that relies on the direction of the wind, and whoever's closest to the wind goes first. Which, again, it's a bit of a IgoUgo, but it's a bit of a I go, but I've got to make sure that I'm ahead of you in order for me to go first again. So you've got to think. You can't just, it's not just IgoUgo. There is a bit of reaction in there. There's a bit of randomness. There's a bit of pre-planning. So there's that, for example. And then you've got card-based systems like Blood and Plunder, which I do have in the pile of opportunity, which I've yet to do anything with. The pile of opportunity isn't too big compared to what it has been in the past. I'm slowly working through. As you can see from this video, I'm working on General Major Adam. I made a mistake earlier. I called him Major General, but he's General Major Adam. And you will see at the end of the video, you will see some photos of him completed, just waiting for the base to be flocked. So unfortunately I didn't manage to get to any of the 71st whilst making this video. No, unfortunately not. But they're still there waiting to be done, and I'm sure they'll be done at some point, and I'm sure you'll see them in the battle report for Black Powder at some point as well, which is another, actually, that's a IgoUgo rule system that I quite like, actually, is Black Powder, because it's got the randomness in it as well. So you've got the IgoUgo, but you've got the I want to do this, oh my guy's going to do it. No, they're not, unfortunately. Which, again, it's got a bit of randomness in it. The total IgoUgo without any randomness is a bit, yeah, neither here nor there. No, I'm not saying that it's completely bad, that. I mean, take Blood Bowl, for example. That's a game that I quite like to play, and a game that I do play. That is a IgoUgo. There's yes, you could say there's an element of randomness in it with the turnovers. You go and try and say dodge out of a tackle zone, you fail, that's a turnover, it's the end of your turn. Which again isn't too bad. And then obviously there's Project Z, which again I quite like playing, which is a IgoUgo. Flames of War, that's a IgoUgo. But again, it's not too bad with the IgoUgo. So that's just, yeah. I think ultimately it's down to personal taste. If you like the IgoUgo, I'm going to turn up, destroy your army in one turn, I find that fun, then go ahead and do that. If you don't like that, and you like to have a little bit of randomness in there, maybe go for something like the Lardies. Water Tanker, for example. You roll your dice, and you go, right, I can do this. None of which I can actually do because my guy can't see him. My guy is out of range, or can't target him. Or I've got to try and move towards the next turn. Personally, I'm not a personally big fan of that style of play. That's too random for me. I like to be able to plan. Oh, excuse me, terribly sorry. I think I need to go and get myself a coffee. I like to be able to plan a little bit. I like to be able to go, right, this is what I'm going to be doing. But then on the other hand, it's some people like that random element, chaotic aspect of it. I can kind of see the appeal of it, but again, to be honest, that's not for me. And then you've got another lardy one, Chain of Command. That kind of a IgoUgo type thing, but with the element in the start, the control phase, whatever it is, command phase bit where you're moving your counters around, and effectively it's, to me, that seems to be a bit of a, let's just quickly get a bit of a setup done. This is how it's going to be, with a bit of a random to the setup. So yeah, I think ultimately it depends on your own personal preference as to exactly what you want. I personally prefer to have a little bit of control, so sometimes the IgoUgo works with that random element thrown in. With a complete Igo, I'm going to have my turn, I'm going to do all my phases in my turn, and then you get your turn. That's with no randomness in there, with all of my guys are going to be doing all of their stuff before your guys even get a chance. That to me that's not fun. The little bit of randomness that's thrown in with a couple of dice rolls here and there, I like that. I do like it. I mean, having said my guys are going to do all the stuff your guys are going to do before your guys get a chance, not fun. Project Z is a bit like that. But on the flip side, Project Z's got zombies. And who doesn't love zombies? At the end of the day, they add that random element. Because it's not just you versus your opponent, it's you versus your opponent and the game. So it's like if you're going to go off and kill your opponent straight away in Project Z, yeah, you can go off and try and kill your opponent, but the zombie, you've got to take into account the zombies coming towards you. You've got to take that into account. If you don't take that into account in Project Z, the zombies are going to swamp you. So yeah, it's an interesting thing, this. It's a really interesting thing. I mean, I'm not entirely sure what everybody's thoughts are. If you got different thoughts to me, leave a comment down below. Obviously like and subscribe if you can, if you want to, but that's up to you. But yeah, leave a comment down below, or tag me in a response video if you want. That's entirely up to you. As I say, it is a bit of personal choice what's happening with the IgoUgo. I mean, IgoUgo works. Take a Song of Ice and Fire. That's an IgoUgo, but you've got elements that happen off the board as well as on the board. So, but again, it's not a Igo, turn up, do a whole lot of stuff, wipe your army out in one turn. That's just not it. So it's I have a turn with the unit, you have a turn with the unit, I have a turn with the unit, you have a turn with the unit. I mean, you could say that the I turn up, wipe all your forces off the board could happen in bolt action. It could happen in bolt action. Yes, it could. It could happen. You could get all your dice come out the back at the same time, one straight off the other. I mean, I've seen it happen. I know it's happened. It has happened to me and for me. Will the dice have come out? However, in order to be able to do that, you've got to really have a masterful army and a really powerful army. And because bolt action armies are so balanced, it doesn't happen. You don't have the all overpowering figure that turns up, kills everything on the table, and then goes crying home to daddy because they've got a blister on their foot. I'm sure a lot of you understand the reference there as to who I'm talking about. But then again, bolt action is an historical war game. I know there are other rule sets out there that are usable with some of those miniatures. I mean, I've not played one-page rules. I don't know what they're like. I know that's I'm fairly certain that's an IgoUgo system. and then on the flip side of that, it's one-page rules. I mean, I do have Valor and Fortitude, or Valor and Fortune from the free one that Perry's did for Napoleonics. I do have that, which I need to try out at some point, and I will be trying out at some point, hopefully. So yeah, I can honestly say that personally, it depends on the gaming system as to whether or not you like it. Yeah, to me, it's IgoUgo can be used, can be done. But at the end of the day, it's personal choice. As I say, you guys, if you got anything you want to say, leave a comment, do a response video. It's entirely up to you. But hopefully I haven't rambled on for too long for you guys. And again, apologies once again for the video. I know it's a bit jumpy. That is because I've been having problems with the camera. But moving on. Obviously, I'll be getting the 71st finished off at some point. But then after that, I do have a question for you guys, which, with regards to the British, I have the 1st Life Guards, Heavy Cavalry, Scots Greys Heavy Cavalry, or some Royal Horse Artillery. Now, obviously, this will all get painted up at some point, and obviously that's going to be under the Major General Somerset. If you guys want to let me know by, again, leaving a comment, which ones you think I should be doing first, and which ones you would like to see me do first, which ones you would like to see first. Excuse me. Oh, terribly sorry. I really do need to have a go get a cup of coffee, but then it's getting quite late now anyway. So, yeah, if you guys want to leave a comment as to which ones you would like me to see, you would like to see me paint up, or like to see on a battlefield at some point, that would be quite good. So stay tuned. A couple more things in the pipeline ready to come along. Hopefully you guys will be having a good week, 2 weeks. I've not developed a schedule for releasing videos or anything. It's when I can get to do it. So hope to see you guys soon and have fun. Bye.